witness the true level of what is transpiring there.
Sandra Adler-Killen, we want to thank you so much for being with us. Emergency and pediatric nurse, international board-certified lactation consultant, just back from Gaza. That does it for our show. Special thanks to Kevin Rabinovich. Democracy Now! Is produced with Mike Burke, Renee Peltz, Dina Guzder, Messiah Rhodes, Nermeen Sheikh, Maria Tarasena, Tammy Warner, Trina Ndura, Sam Alcock, Maria Studio, John Hamilton. You can see our interviews with Mossab Abu Toha at democracynow.org. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez.
The viewpoints expressed in this program are the opinions of the people expressing them and are not necessarily those of Fresh Air Incorporated, its staff, or its board of directors.
Hi, this is Al McFarlane, host of The Conversation with Al McFarlane. You're listening to 90.3 FM, KFAI, Minneapolis. I'm Al McFarlane. Welcome to The Conversation with Al McFarlane. I'm glad to be here and glad to have you along today as well. Today is Tuesday, May 6th, 2025. And as always, we're promising a robust conversation, one that's special to me because I'm presenting a repeat of my recent interview with my nephew. His name is Hakeem McFarlane. He's an author, a speaker, and a transformational leader who's set to celebrate the release of his new book, Choose Yourself to Be Chosen. And so, more than a motivational read, this book, Choose Yourself to Be Chosen, is a framework for personal alignment. It urges readers to stop seeking external validation and to instead step fully into their own authentic calling, their authentic leadership and power. So over the course of this conversation, Hakeem is going to share what inspired the book, why his message is urgent right now. He's going to talk about mindset, identity, and discipline, and how those factors drive personal, individual transformation. He'll talk about what he believes is your method, your opportunity to reclaim your narrative and to show up with a purpose. And, to talk about what it really means to choose yourself in business and relationships and in community. Well, get ready for a great conversation. I'm inspired because this young man is my nephew, the son of my brother, Gregory McFarlane. And all of us in this family are excited for him. We are excited for each other. And we want you to be excited as well. We want you to join the conversation. If you got a comment, feedback, if you want to be on the show, in the conversation, just drop a note in the chat. We're streaming this program. Not only are we here on KFAI, and we're so glad to be here on KFAI, but we're also streaming it live on two YouTube platforms, the YouTube platform for the Black Press of America, Black Press USA, and we're streaming live on the Insight News YouTube channel. We're also streaming it live to LinkedIn and to Facebook. So wherever you are, we value you, we appreciate you, we thank you for being a part of it, and we invite you to connect by sharing your ideas and your feedback. In the notes here, people can also share their comment during the live conversation, and we'll read those to you. Let us know where you are. If you're listening from anywhere around the world or around the country, around the neighborhood, drop a note in the comment section, say your name, say where you're from, and give us your feedback. With that, let me bring in my nephew, Hakeem McFarlane. Hakeem, how you doing, man?
Hey, better every day. Great to be back. Appreciate you. I'm proud of y'all too. I always looked up to my family, man. I got the best family in the world.
Well, you make it so, and the energy you bring and the conviction you bring and the attitude you bring is a reflection of what the future holds for all of us. And I say, Hakeem, with you, the future is in good hands. But I'm just so amazed that at your young age, you have published a book and you're on a mission to change people one at a time. Talk about the book, first of all. What inspired the book? Show the book. Let's show the cover of the book for those who are joining us on social media. And for those who are listening on radio, I'm just asking you to look through your mind's eye, and you'll be able to see by listening to Hakeem and to me the beauty and the power of the visual that we're experiencing and sharing on other platforms right now. But Hakeem, choose yourself to be chosen. Talk about that.
Yeah, choose yourself to be chosen. Because if you don't choose yourself, how does anyone else know how to choose you? If you don't love yourself and set the standard for what you allow in your life, then how do other people know what standards you have to live with you, stand by you, or the things you allow and the things you don't allow? And it comes down to the contribution we have to others. It starts with what we do for ourselves when we're by ourselves. Our subconscious takes that in and understands, okay, that's what we believe. That's the belief system. Now, let's project that on the others to make our reality support the belief that we have in the darkness. And that's in every transformation. It doesn't matter if you transition in relationships, religions, you transition in between cities, wherever it is, there's a point where we're in unfamiliarity and discomfort. And that's where we have to rely on the systems and choices we made in the darkness. So the book, the book cover has a huge galaxy at the top in the shape of a heart, because I just want us to understand that we are on one star in one galaxy amongst trillions of stars in the galaxy, amongst trillions of galaxies. So our problems are not as big as we make them seem, not saying they're not problems, but we'll always choose, as we develop, we choose the ego, but eventually we try to refrain from choosing ego and choosing our truth and our intention. And that's the development of the heart. There's two roads that split. Every choice, you get two choices. Well, three choices essentially, but you can choose your intention or not choose your intention. That's the two choices. And your intention is developed by the research and embracing your story, embracing your past, the dark places, the shadows, your genetics, your experiences, finding those things, not running from them. Because then how do we know what we intend to unfold into? And so the book is really my story that I wrote. I just use my story as an example. A majority of it is reflections, soul work, and wisdom drops to help develop an understanding of the reader's story. So it's not my story for me. I wrote it for me, and I got an endless amount of healing from it. I still get healing from it. Just as I re-experience life after writing the story, I get healing every time I revisit anything I've ever been to. I'm like, oh, this is different now because I know what I was and what I used to look at it as before and why I did. And I think that's where a lot of us get lost, man. We try to be a character for others instead of developing our character for others.
Shout out to Landscapes LLC. Thank you for your note saying, choose yourself, grow your mind. Let's go. Thank you. And others who are listening, viewing, drop us a note, shout us out, to shout yourself out. Thank you so much for being a part of the conversation. We want to grow the conversation. In fact, we want to invite you to subscribe, to like, and to share on our YouTube channel. Landscapes says he's shouting us out from Findlay, Ohio. Shout out to you and Ohio. Thank you so much. Share it to your friends, and let's keep this conversation rolling. So Hakeem, when did the idea of writing a book come? Was it part of therapy? When did the light bulb go off that let you know that, number one, you needed to journal your experience or your thoughts? Number two, that journaling could be a book. And maybe I'm saying it the wrong way, but how did it unfold in your life?
At first, I was playing the victim, complaining about everything I went through. Oh, I went through this, then I had this, then I lost this, then this, then this, then this. And when I would tell people, people would be like, you need to write a book. And I was like, well, I'm not sure if I want to let all that info out yet. And I think a big part of us not facing our story is because we haven't built something that we think is worthy enough as a buffer between who we were and who we're becoming. So we don't want to slip back into it by talking about it. And I realized that after I moved to New York City, and that's when I was like, oh, inspired by environment, which is another thing. You can get inspired by several different things. You can get by loss, health, new life, or an experience. Those 4 things can often trigger us to choose ourselves. Choose yourself triggerer is like what I like to call myself. I trigger you to choose yourself. You might not like what I have to say, but that's the point, because it's supposed to generate accountability and authenticity in a world where that's uncommon. And so I wrote the chapters down when I was in my dark place, probably the second month in my sobriety of 8. I did an 18-month stint of sobriety, pulling myself out of my dark place. And in the second month, once you stop going through the cravings, the urges, and the withdrawals, you start to become more enlightened and spiritually enhanced and more grateful. And you start to take accountability and acceptance, and you start to make plans for the future instead of blaming and living in the past. And as I was planning for the future, I understood that there was a lot of things from my past that were going to be with me, one in particular for 20 years is what I was anticipating. So I had to face that and accept that label, what I thought, big twist in the book. But I had to understand how to move with that label. And along with that reflection came, what about this other label? What about this label I put on myself? What about this label that I thought was supposed to come from my coach or my parents or my favorite celebrity? All these other labels we put on ourselves from perceiving the relationships around us, we then move forward with them. But I didn't come to that realization until I literally had to look at the label I was put on by the system. And I was like, dang, so now I got to move like this because I got this label from the system. And then through that experience, I was like, okay, let me write down the chapters. I wrote down the chapters. I started with 6. There's 12 in the book. Over time, it was just a note in my phone. As I would grow, as I would continue to see results, as I would continue to implement systems and set the foundation and have conversations and grow my mind, GYM, that's why you got to grow your mind with inner size. The more I started to become wiser and more knowledgeable about personal development, psychology, communication, spirituality, all things rooted in humanity, the more my story opened up in my mind from a different perspective, to where the victim's mentality dissipated and it became more of, how can I tell this in a way someone else can heal from it? And we just had a meeting in the Choose Yourself community today. We meet every Tuesday, 10 a.m. with the CYC members. And we were talking about that,
CYC?
Yeah, the CYC, the Choose Yourself community.
Okay. All right.
You can tap in, man. You can tap in. We got a subscription, $50 a month. We meet every Tuesday, 10 a.m. We do a workout once a month. And we got a bunch of stories, testimonials. We had a special guest today talking about embracing your life through your body. We do heart, mind, body, emotion. So you just really come in, have conversations. That was created from the integrity loop, which I talk about in my book. I created the CYC from the integrity loop about making a claim to others, because we oftentimes care more about their opinion than our own. So, but back to what I was saying, the important part about the healing journey, and when you start to become healed enough, you're never fully healed. Understand that, ladies and gentlemen. There's always more, because we're seeking the unknown. That's the only reason we're going for tomorrow, because we want to create something else. The moment you stop seeking to create another conversation, another experience with my kids, the moment you stop trying to tend to your garden, the moment you stop trying to start this business, then what you're living for. So the more we heal and we get into that transformational, momentum, we get to a certain point, and it's different for everybody, where then we're confident enough to reach back and help people. We got a girl that's been a part of the CYC for 8 months, and she's now starting her own business to go back and help women heal. But at first she came in, she was not even comfortable with herself. And so that was the same thing with me. And we talked about that today, is I wasn't comfortable with who I was. And so I didn't want to talk about my past. I didn't want to talk about the labels and the losses, because it would impact negatively how I move forward, because I wasn't mature enough in the mind to be able to use it to my benefit. And so as I continue to write the book, working with a publisher, co-writer, editor, doing research about how to write books and all this, eventually got it finished, man. It was every day. I didn't sit. Well, the last 2 sessions, I did 2 12-hour sessions back to back. But leading up to that, it was, since 20.
We lost your audio for a second there. I think something might have got bumped. There, yeah, you're back.
Oh,
We lost
yeah,
your audio
no.
for a
So
second. Yeah.
am I back? No. So yeah, it took since 2018. I've been writing the chapters and little segues and little paragraphs and ideas and stuff and concepts within the chapters. And then I worked with the
You
team
actually
to help
write them. You write them
structure it,
on a
format it.
laptop or write them in your telephone. How did you do the writing? What was the physical?
In my notes, writing my notes, man.
On your
Writing my
phone?
notes. Yeah. Well, every chapter is only 4 to 8 pages. So
Mhm.
each note had each chapter had a note.
Uh-huh.
I mean, each
That's
note was a
amazing.
chapter.
I mean, I never imagined a person could write a book on a telephone. And so that's new, but that speaks to the technology, of your generation. Because obviously, when I started writing, paper and pen or old typewriter, when I started my profession as a journalist, and over time we got into the electronics, into the computer, and to using software where it's really advanced. But then listening to you, you're saying you wrote your book on your telephone. I think that's phenomenal. Let's talk about that. First of all, I'm Al McFarlane. This is The Conversation with Al McFarlane. And my guest is my nephew, Hakeem McFarlane. He's the author of a book, the book we're talking about today, and his movement we're talking about as well. The book is Choose Yourself to Be Chosen. And you've been talking, Hakeem, about, this book as your story, delving into and documenting and writing and exploring the things that were painful and that were illuminating in your life, and finding the way to do that, the way to handle dealing with things that you may be uncomfortable with or might have been uncomfortable about. Let's tell the story. If someone picks the book up and starts reading it, what are they going to be hearing from you? What are you going to be telling them?
So each chapter has a turning point in my life. And then from there, it goes to principles, wisdom drops, quotes I've created that are in relation with that. Because what I come to find out, when you spit with flow and you have a rhythm and acronyms, it's easier for people to remember. So that's why I do my content the way I do. And that's why I do the quotes in the book. And then at the end of each chapter, there's a ongoing building soul work, it's called, where you do reflections. We have exercises and exercises, deep questions to get you really think about, what you've been through and who you are. And that's really what I believe is we'll be more united if we all are unique, because we fit like a puzzle. Mm-hmm. But if we're all the same size, then we're just stacking on top of each other like dominoes. And how comfortable is that? We're just sitting on top of each other and we're all doing the same thing. We're all chasing what we were taught in middle school all the way up to through high school, and we're all going by beliefs in the past. I think that's creates more friction, to be honest, because we all have a dissonance between the outside world and the inner world. But if we can find the synchronicity between the inside and the outside, and we all have that understanding easily. So starts with choosing yourself. So the first chapter is initially it starts off with the mirror's truth. So your perception is a reflection of your projections. However you feel about the outside world, it's called the mirror's truth. However you feel about the outside world literally goes through a filter that's developed from every experience you've ever experienced and every choice you made up until this moment, including your ancestors and the reproduction and energy crossings for thousands of years up until now. It's in our DNA and everything. So what you view about somebody, usually we like about others what we like in ourselves, and we dislike in others what we can't see in ourselves. So understand, if you dislike someone, you want to judge somebody, check yourself. It's probably you. Because if that wasn't important to you, you wouldn't notice that about them. So whenever you feel a type of way about something that's uneasy, it's not a state of mind to dwell in. It's a signal for change. And you're the actor and the director of your own movie. And if you want to change the movie, you can't change the projector screen because you can't change other people. You got to change the projector, and that is you. So you're the director. Go back into the film room, which is the mind, which is your story, and change the projector to change what you're watching. So that's the mirror theory. It all comes down to what filter you're perceiving through, and then there's another filter in your mind. We'll talk about the self-choice layer, where there's 3 choices. You got your environment, okay, which trigger a thought. Go through your 5 sensory input. triggers a thought. The thought comes from, it might come from a download, it might come out of nowhere, universe, it might come from a previous experience. You smell your grandma's pie, you think of grandma's house, but it's just an apple pie from down the block. You know, the mind will do that, right? Thoughts attached to an emotion from a previous experience. Oh, I had this thought. Oh, that makes me cringe. Oh, that pisses me off. And it's just a thought. Literally nothing's happened. You just had a thought and you got pissed. And then after emotions, your emotions are usually attached to an action to help you either satisfy the ego, choose your intention, choose your emotion, or choose your old habits. And that's the self-choice layer. Sensory input, thoughts, emotions, space, self-choice layer, action. Now in the self-choice layer, you get 3 choices, essentially. The ego wants you to choose what feels comfortable, safe, convenient, conserves energy, and it makes you right. Okay, so I don't put that in the self-choice layer. That's autopilot. If you act off of emotion, it's going to be ego all the time. If you don't do the work, you're just going to choose what makes you right. And I did that for a long time, very long time. And in that self-choice layer, there's the past, your habits. That's your first choice. You could choose the present, your emotions, which is very risky because untamed mind is a minefield. And you may not be able to tell yet, but time will. Or you can choose the future, your future self. That's what choosing yourself is, meaning your intention, what you said you would do before the emotions kicked in, before the traffic, before your boss pissed you off, what you said you would do for your kids tonight before the day got hectic, what you said you would do for your business yesterday before you woke up tired, what you said you would do when you set that alarm last night and you decided to hit snooze. Don't snooze yourself, choose yourself. You had intentions on waking up last night when you set that alarm. What happened? That's the first test of the day. You had an intention, you went to sleep, the bed got cozy, the room got cold, your excuses popped in, and what'd you do? You chose the subconscious comfort. That's why I say you got to choose yourself, don't snooze yourself. And that's applicable to all choices throughout the day. If you don't choose your intention, you're snoozing your purpose. I'm just saying. So that's the self-choice layer. Now you go into the power of choice. I want to backtrack quick. Well, I kind of want to give an overall synopsis of what
and you've got a PowerPoint that sort of guides you through this. If you want to share that, you can. If you want to do that, you're welcome to.
It's shared. I think
we can bring it on. There we go. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the CYM philosophy. This is the next book coming out, y'all. This is the next book coming out. I'm telling you, you write one book, a lot of stuff's going to unsurface. Y'all better write your stories down so you can walk in your purpose. Choose yourself philosophy. CYM, or the CYM philosophy, because the M has 4 different meanings. The message, which is the foundation, the mindset, the movement, the mission. Now, the message is choosing yourself means reclaiming your power by owning your story, your identity, and your growth. It's the act of choosing truth over trends, faith over fear, alignment over approval. It's about trying to identify who you truly are. That's it. Amidst societal construct, amidst religion, amidst your condition, amidst your upbringing, amidst politics, pop culture, amidst freaking any genre of music, like who are you? Now, these things may allow you to understand who you are, but if you become what you're seeking externally, you get further and further away from your internal truth. And I did all that. This all comes from experience and research and reflection. So this is now truly what I believe. And I'm going to continue to develop resources for every component of the CYM philosophy. So the message, foundation, the mindset is you to you, plus your creator. You versus you, plus what you believe in. That's it. That's the mindset. Ain't nothing to do with nothing else. It's the daily practice of integrity when no one's watching, where self-mastery becomes spiritual alignment, and every choice made in private becomes a seed sown for my legacy. So what you do consistently, your habits and choices are going to end up being how you respond to adversity and the unknown. So you got to prepare your mindset and your muscle every day. I do foundational work. I help people create the foundation. Nighttime routine plus sleep plus morning routine without people, screens, or toxins. You get your time management down, your routine. You implement the systems and methods to help you develop the traits so you can be mindful and intentional throughout the day. Now you set that foundation every day. That's the brick you lay every day. That's the golden nugget that you can refer back to. Now, the more you do that, the more top of mind that has. And that's the first frame of reference you have once you get into a place that's uncomfortable. Because when you experience discomfort, when you experience excitement, love, something new, you're going to go back to what you do in your foundation. Now, if you binge all night, eating BS, go to sleep late, snooze, wake up late, skip brushing your teeth, you're missing all these disciplines that you need to be healthy for the day. Guess what you go back to when you get under adversity and pressure? Excuses, skipping what you said you would do. Now, there's a twist to this, because a lot of times we'll do something because we fear the opinions of others. So we'll do something that's not in alignment with what we do in the dark, but that mask only lasts for so long. Because once you get outside of your ability to put the mask up and you got to really snap into something, you've seen people under stress, they change it to a whole nother person. You've seen somebody who falls in love, they change it to a whole nother person. You're going to work out all the way till you meet your soulmate and then stop working out, because that wasn't you. You was working out for another person. It wasn't working out for you. We see it all the time. Athletes, they work hard to play pro, stop working, get cut because you got there. You see it all the time in business. People get a promotion, they wear a tie for 2 months, and then what? Gone. They get comfortable, shirt untucked. That's the same thing. We do that work, and then when we get there, our true character shows, comfort. And that's what the foundation is for, to continue that discipline. So that's the mindset, you versus you plus your creator. The movement is because this is the community component. You choose yourself alone to strengthen the community. Inner peace is the key to world peace. World peace starts within. We grow alone, but we transform together. We rise by choosing ourselves, not to separate, but to strengthen the whole, because the more healed we are, the more powerfully we show up for our families, our community, and our calling. This is our personal growth, or this is how our personal growth becomes a collective impact. You heal you, it heals your family. You grow your mind, it grows the mission. You choose yourself, you are chosen. No need to seek to be chosen. You plus your creator plus your contribution to others is the mission, which is next. Boom. Fill up your cup and pour from an overflow. Yeah, you need your sleep, nutrition, water, exercise, but you don't want to go to a church and pray for a whole day. How are you going to contribute? Eventually, you got to take action. You don't want to drink 4 gallons of water. You're going to drown, or you're going to dehydrate yourself. You got to find a balance of how much you need to fill up your cup to then be able to face adversity and contribute. Now, the mission, that's everything. The mindset, you to you, your creator. The movement, community, family, network, friends, your business. And then the mission is soil, air, water, poverty, economy, unity, equality, global. And that starts with yourself and your family and your community and your business. And then the communities start to overlap, like it always has, but sometimes not for the better. To spark a global ripple of self-liberation, one story, one decision, one community at a time. We aim to disrupt generational cycles, awaken purpose, and rebuild culture with integrity and impact. Inner peace equals world peace. That's the CYM philosophy. Book coming soon.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. I'm enjoying listening to you, and I'm impressed with the clarity and the consistency of the line of thought. But you always began with talking about how you arrived at the study and this solution. So I want to take a minute to have you go back and tell the story. I'm Al McFarlane. This is The Conversation with Al McFarlane. My guest today is my own nephew, Hakeem born McFarlane. He here as an author. He's here as an author, a speaker, and a transformational leader, talking about his book, the release of his new book, Choose Yourself to Be Chosen. And Hakeem, you've got a book launch event coming up in the next several days. Talk about that and invite people to show up and support the book launch.
Yeah, please come out. It's all good vibes, all growth, conversations, connectivity with like-minded individuals. It's all about telling stories and embracing every single relationship that has contributed to the person I am, because every person you meet is contributing to the version you are meant to be for the people you haven't met yet. And upon your growth and reflection, you start to do that. You appreciate the people you had fun with, you party with, you broke up with, you cried with, you laughed with. All of them had a contribution to who you are today. So if you're holding grudges, stop it. It's wasting energy. It's better to forgive and move forward. That's the healing part. part of it, but we're doing a book launch at 6 p.m. in Northeast Minneapolis, 6 to 7, book signing, pictures with the backdrop. We got merch, we got books for sale, shirts for sale, bands for sale. We'll have sponsored by Rebel Spirits, which is me and my uncle. We made a new agave spirit. So my uncle was kind enough to sponsor this event. So we got the purest agave on the planet. If you don't drink, fine. Some people don't, some people do. And then we'll do, we got DJ Ray Mills, shout out Ray Mills, the DJ for the Minnesota Vikings, coming out to support. And then I'm gonna do my speech at 7 o'clock, do a speech, 7:30. We mingle, laugh, more pictures, cheers. And then, you know, we're out, whatever you want to do. We'll probably go out, get some food somewhere. But yeah, we'd love to see you out there, meet new people, and just keep contributing to the Choose Yourself mission.
The slide we had up before was that you as a child, a baby? Pull that slide back up.
Yeah, I was going to get back into the story.
Go ahead. Let's go to the story.
Yeah. So really,
describe what we're looking at to those who are on the radio.
Yeah, I won the cutest baby award on the left. My mom loves that picture. I think that's my youngest picture I have. And so the pictures are in correlation with that period in my life. So I chose pictures intentionally that help you see the version I was, how my face changed, how my energy changed, how my skin changed. And that's the big thing that I say too, is the body is a physical manifestation of the mind.
So describe how you looked in both these pictures. There's two pictures side by side, one with a cap, you sit in a chair, and another one. Describe those pictures for the radio audience so that they can visualize it in their mind's eye, and talk about the significance of why you chose these two pictures.
Yeah, I think these two do a great job of representing that age in my life. I'm young, full of light, still got the little baby smile that I do still today. The one on the left is the cutest baby award with the sideways hat and the onesie on with the Reeboks, high tops, drool coming out the mouth, extra cute. The one on the right is a little bit older. My head got bigger. My head's always been big. I wear a size 8, one snap on the snapback, y'all. And I think it's been this size since I was little, but I was actually self-conscious about that until I grew my shoulders. But I'm holding on to the Cookie Monster, which was my favorite Sesame Street character, and a white button up on the right. My mom was always like, curls for the girls. So I got trying to keep my curls as long as she could until I met my babysitter who had waves, and he put me on the waves in the do-rag. And that was a whole nother transition, because that do-rag really will impact how you feel about yourself. You know?
Let's sit with that. Let's talk about what do you mean by that?
Well, so when I grew up in like first ring suburb, Richfield, right outside across the freeway from South Minneapolis, and then Bloomington for a little bit. But for me, there was no type of guidance for who I'm supposed to be. It was just be yourself. So when that happens, you become the people you hang around with. You become whoever you're around most. And so I was raised by it. You know, shout out Darnell, man. He did a good job, because I was a hard-headed, spoiled boy, but, you know, we hung around in the hood. So when I see people with do-rags, they started talking like they was part of the culture. And so when I returned home, if I had the do-rag on, I associate that with the hood. And my mom be like, take that damn thing off. Every time I put that thing on, I felt like I was over there at my babysitter's house with 7 kids in a 2-bedroom, you know, just clowning around. And so I think that talks volumes, especially to people who are getting all these surgeries nowadays. You know, you think you have to go get your lips done so you can look like her, so you can be happy for him, or you got to go get the BBLs, or you got to go get the nice chains and the nice cars and all this external stuff so you can try to get what those people have. When if you're chasing external validation, if you're chasing external happiness, possessions, achievements, looks, money, status, you're always going to want more. You're always going to want more. If you're chasing titles, if you're chasing resume virtues, you're always going to want more, because they're always going to have something more for us to consume. That's called the consumption loop. But if you're chasing eulogy virtues, what you want them to say at your funeral, then it becomes character. Then it becomes integrity, authenticity, spirituality. But even through my whole story, man, I put that mask up with sports as well. But the power of choice, I talk about this situation in my book, was I was too black for my white friends and too white for my black friends. And a lot of light-skinned people resonate with that. And so it's like understanding your choice as fundamental power is find what you like to do, find the people who are also passionate about that, and then those are your people. For me, it was sports. So if you feel like you don't fit in, if you feel like if you can't be yourself at home, you can't be yourself at work, you can't be yourself around your friends, find what you like to do first. Find the people that like to do that as well. I mean, not just like to do, like your passion, like what you would do for free. Me, I would talk for free for the rest of my life. I do already. On my podcast, on my dang, retreat we're about to have coming up. So I talk for free, not for free for long, but I did. Like that's what I would do is conversations, man. Like these light me up. So the first chapter is just about understanding that you're only what other people say if you hold on to that opinion. And we move into embracing your story. And so as I get, clowned on and people not allowing me to fit in, I had to figure out who I was, in retrospect, in reflection, right? Because when I was younger, obviously I wasn't looking up my heritage. Oh, Jamaican, German, like why? How's my mom raised? How's my dad raised? Like I wasn't into that. I was, it molded who I was anyways, my environment. But as I wrote this book, I looked back to see what traits from my parents I had, and I see myself and my dad so much when I talk to him. He's like talking to me in the future. I mean, the way we talk about things and he says something, I'll be like, hold on. I would have said that. And the way we feel about things. And he's really my spiritual leader, to be honest. Because when I first brought this to him, he had the same reaction as a lot of spiritual people do. That's selfish. But as we continue to talk, he's like, yep, that's what they say in the Bible. Yep, that's what Jesus did. Yep, that's what David did. Yep. I'm like, I knew it. Thank you. Because I knew this just felt so true that, but having him confirm it, knowing how deep and how knowledgeable and how spiritual he is, and how important he is to me is amazing. But yeah, so embracing your story, man, if you don't forgive your parents, if you got a problem with your parents, man, let that go. Cause one day they won't be here and it might be in the middle of your grudge. So put some gratitude in your attitude, give them a call, shoot them a text, tell them you love them. But yeah, so doing the genetic research.
So for the radio audience, we've got another slide up and it's 2 more pictures of you, I think, right?
4th and 5th grade. 5th grade is when I met my babysitter. Look, wait, no, that's 2nd and 3rd grade, I believe. Okay. So 2nd grade, I had glasses, little afro, button up, plaid on. The next year, I got contacts, got a brush fade, put a chain outside the hoodie because I had to fit the script. 1 year flip. I was like, yep, I'm not doing this nerdy thing no more. My mom was
so
like,
what happened?
No.
How did that come about? Was that?
Well, I just got made fun of so much.
Okay.
About having a big head, being a nerd, dressing corny. And I was like, all right, y'all. All right, bet. I'm gonna come back like a hip hop star. Or whatever was trending there, like I said, like people try to get money, possessions, achievements. I was trying to get what was hip, except we didn't have no money. So I would just get the style of clothes of cheap version. And then I would let, my class clowning do the rest. So yeah, man, just embrace your story as fast as you can, because, you see, as you see in this picture, changing the clothes doesn't change who you are.
Right.
And then we all get to that point, our first loss. So I was only child till I was 10. And then my mom had my little brother, Matthew, who was born short gut syndrome and leukemia. And then 6 years later, he passed. So that was my first time experiencing that. Never thought he was going to die. They said he might. They said he would. Then he lived. Then he got 6 months. Then he was going to live. I'm like, all right, I'm not listening to these doctors no more, because y'all keep making me feel like I'm wrong for thinking he's going to die, and he don't die. So now here goes my first pushback on authority. Is y'all been in so long, in the medical field, and y'all don't even know what you're talking about. What I'm 14, 15 in the teenage rebellion stage. I'm, like, yeah, I know what I'm talking about. I know everything. I'm in high school now. Most people go through that, from what I've heard from the parents that I've worked with, because I don't have any kids. But when he passed, was really my first time dealing with a deep emotion. Everything else, I kind of just could play sports and be happy and find happiness, whether my mom was going through some, or my dad, or I got in trouble at school. Like I always fixed it with sports. But when you lose something like this, a 6-year-old, when you're 16, your best friend, it hits you in a different way. And it could be your first loss, could be your dog. It could be your mom, your dad, your grandma, whoever. The first death, when you realize, oh man, this stuff is deep. This is life.
Yeah.
Who am I?
Yeah.
Life is real. Death brings that on, man. It brings that realization. So the day he died, I went and played sports. And that was the mask I put on, was athletics. So as you can see, I look happy. Look, flexing. I'll go back to the other picture. Three pictures of me and my brother. I'd say probably on the left is 14 before that. In the middle is probably 12 with a hat on. He has curls. And then I'm probably 12 years old on the right. So 12, 13, 14.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he was my best friend, man. He was sick all the time. He always wanted me to come to the hospital and just play the video game so he could watch me play. And man, we had fun. I always wanted a brother, man, for real, a little brother. And I got one, then he was gone. So, that grief process, you're grieving. People ask me if I was okay. My coaches, the students, the teachers, they'd say, sorry. I say, it's not your fault. I'm good. I'm fine. Look at me. I'm scoring touchdowns. I'm dunking the ball. I'm fine. Don't I look fine? Look at me. I'm jacked. Look at me. I'm going D1. Don't I look fine? Why are you guys asking me? Am I not putting up a fake enough facade? I got a fine ass girlfriend. We're together all the time. I'm laughing. I'm clowning in class. I got a D1 full ride. Don't I look fine? Everybody's like, all right, fine. You're fine. I was not fine, y'all. And this is what it means by you can put up the mask as long as you want, but once you get under pressure, love, excitement, stress, all that's coming down. It's about what you do for yourself when you're by yourself. And me, I was never by myself. I was never by myself after that. Friends, girls, sports, weekend, night, everything. Because I didn't want to sit alone. But it made me seem like I was cool. Because I could be cool when I was around people. So check on your happy friends, y'all. This is the mask right here, the Trinity of Transformation, mind, body, spirit. When D1 full ride, hated it. Left the school on my own. Went D2, partial scholarship. First play, first game, tore my ACL. Your body's like, you got some things you got to deal with. So got kicked out of that school for fighting at a party after that. So I dropped out for 18 months and lived with my mom and started going in the streets and the clubs and going into the nightlife and doing all that and doing security. And eventually I had to, there was another trigger point where I got into a pretty bad altercation and I realized I don't want to be hurting like this. I almost could have lost my life this night. This is not for me. And, through the dark place, there's some pictures in chapter 5 of the dark place where I'm out here drinking. My face is overweight. I had 4 more knee surgeries in that time period because I wasn't doing the physical therapy. I'd rather go party. I'd get a surgery. They say, go on crutches. I'm like, I'm going to do security. So I'm not using crutches because I look like a victim. They'll just bully me. So I was out there standing on it all night and just kept getting hurt. So through that combination of numbing and not rehabbing properly, I, got to that point of triggering myself to go back to school, which I did. Eventually I was like, okay, football's not dead. Now, I always thought I was going back to school. I thought that was a transition period. I'm like, I'm going to go back to school eventually once this suspension's over. I'm going to go back to Winona. And so with that dream alive that I had created in my mind, once my little brother died, was as long as I have this dream, I'm going to the NFL, I always have a plan. So I had the plan. That was the plan. So I went back to school, played 4 years, graduated, got All-American. First year I couldn't play longer than 1 half because my knees were so swollen. But I'll play 1 half and then I'm like, all right, y'all, I can't walk. And then that off season, I really took my recovery serious. Shout out to shout out to Missy, the trainer who put up with me so much. I was in there all the time. But yeah, then graduated. I'm like, okay, fine, I'm coming back out. I went through a loss, went through a couple schools, got caught up in the system and got more injuries. Now I'm back in school. Okay, fine. Now I'm a 20-year-old freshman. All right, let's try this again. Went there, loved it, man, but I was still dabbling with them demons, so I'd still party on the weekends. So I had a promotional company part-time. I was bartending part-time, and I was school and sports. So I was back and forth with it. So I got a picture of me playing football. I got a picture of my mom and dad who were at my graduation. Some of these are in the book. Some are just to illustrate this time of my life. My mom and dad who were at the graduation of Augsburg 2014, May. Actually, I think it was 12 years ago now. Dang, 11 years this month. And then another award I had received for statistical leader for punt return. But after that Augsburg, I had some tryouts, wasn't ready. I wasn't training the same. I wasn't ready for the NFL. So when the Dallas Cowboys came to my school to have me do all these workouts, I was out of shape. And then I tried to go play arena football in Iowa. I went and made the team, but my probation officer was like, you can't go there. He's like, you're on probation here. I was like, well, okay. So, and then I broke my ankle. So knowing I can't play pro and breaking my ankle, those are the two things that crushed that dream. And that was my mask. And that was my safe that I hid that grief in, that I hid that trauma in, the anger against the doctors, against the judge, against the coaches, against authority that built up from watching the doctors not follow through, from watching the judge give me, a punishment that I felt was unfair. And most people I've talked to have, but I wasn't going to listen to no one else. So this was God. God was like, nah, we're going to get you to listen eventually. And so I went into my second dark place where I call it my dark place because I was blacking out in the black market. So I'm gonna just leave it at that. And I was out, and then I ended up going to jail for 8 months, got out for 30 days, went back for another 8 months. And I was in and out, violating and in my PO's office all the time. And the second time I went back, this was the first time I created the choose yourself mantra. Was the second stint I did was the first day I had withdrawals from substances. The second day, I played the victim. The third day, I tried to fit in with the people on the block. Fourth day, I took accountability. And that's the process we go through when we transition. First, you go through withdrawals, old relationships, old choices, old habits. Then you play the victim. Oh, this is so hard. Oh, why do I have to do this? Then you see a little bit of results, and you start to look out like, okay, maybe I can connect with them. Maybe I can learn with them. You start to grow your mind. And then once you start to get a little bit of momentum, then you become accountable. So that 4-step process in reflection is what really helped me start to develop the 5 pillars of growth and, the choose yourself process, man. So I'm grateful for that because I was not stopping no time soon. I know that. Without that 8 days in isolation when I first got in, I was not going to stop. So then I stayed sober for 18 months, still bartending, but I looked at it differently. I was still working. I was looking at more as people, talking to people, and saving money for myself. And then my uncle called me, and he's like, "Hey, so then that's the choose yourself process, the 5 pillars of growth, the turning points, and then you got to evaluate your environment, who's around you. Then you build your foundation. We talked about earlier: nighttime routine, sleep, morning routine. Then you start to invest in yourself, new materials, new food, new books, new conversations. Then you create from that gift and that new version. You contribute to others." That's the process we go through with anybody I coach, with anybody that's in the CYC. It's the process. It's really the foundational material for any transformational direction that you're going into is those 5 pillars. Maybe not in that order. You might have a few of them, but I think those are the most important ones. And then after that comes developing your business and investing and all that. But you got to be true with yourself first. And then my uncle called like, "Hey, I got some farmers in Morelos, but I'm going to Cali. I need someone to sell in Minnesota." I'm like, "All right, I can sell liquor. I'm a professional liquorer." So I had a hoopty and I drove around with Rebel in my back in my back seat and just hit all these bars in Minnesota. And, you know, in the beginning, I wasn't taking it very seriously. I was like, oh, I made it. You know, just we were talking about the pro athletes get to that professional level and they quit. They get in a relationship, you quit. You get a promotion, you quit. I finally got a job, I quit working on myself and started slipping back in. But, you know, the good thing is it was with my uncle, who I love dearly, and my godfather. When he told me you better shape up, I listened. Had it been somebody else, I probably wouldn't have listened. So that's another blessing in disguise upon this reflection. So then, you know, we crushed it. I got some pictures here of me holding a bottle, a picture of me and my uncle, Hakeem McFarlane. Shout out Micah, who believed in me really when not a lot of people did. He gave me a shot when I don't even know if I deserved it at that point, but clearly I did. And then, yeah, another picture of me at a couple of events. That's what I'm doing out here now. It's about the balance, y'all. People are like, how do you do personal development and you got a liquor brand? I'm like, it's a balance. 80% healthy, 20% fun, 100% happy. Life can't be redone, but you got to have the systems in place and take preventative action. Now, I don't care if you like sugar, liquor, weed, porn, nicotine, caffeine, gambling, processed foods. It's all bad for you, but in moderation. Okay, I'm not saying I don't like sugar. Some people eat sugar every day. You're not supposed to, but that's your vice. Find a balance to strip free. You don't want to be dependent on any hedonic vices, any instant gratification. I do a challenge every quarterly to reset your dopamine baseline. So you eliminate all instant gratification, whole foods only, and you fast for 1 day a week and for 30 days. And it's really amazing how many people have quit these vapes and cigarettes and Adderall just from having a community to do a challenge with. So that's the important part. So crushed it, man. Crushed it in Minnesota. And then, you know, I had a nice car, nice couch, nice place, nice everything. I'm like, yeah, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. And my uncle called me, was like, hey, you going to New York in 10 days. I said, what the dang? He's like, sell everything. I'm like, everything? But I just got all this nice stuff. He's like, well, we can buy new stuff. It's just stuff. I was like, that's a good point. But I'm like, oh, dang, my PO. Oh, no, I can't move. I'm going to have to stay here forever. But George Floyd actually had died recently, been killed recently around then. And a lot of people were getting let off of probation and let out of jail. And they had celebrities going around and doing all these things to get people out. And so I wrote a letter to my PO and the judge dropped everything, dropped the felony and the probation. And I moved 10 days later, 2 suitcases and a duffel bag. And I got out here 6 months later. Rebel had some issues and they could no longer afford to pay me. And in that moment, I was no longer working for my family, no longer working for my uncle. I was no longer had somebody looking out for me. I'm in New York City by myself, no money. What you gonna do? Okay, you gonna go back. Which side you gonna go into, to choose yourself or to lose yourself? And I just started going to sleep at 8, waking up at 3, doing content. Now I have a lot of things I do online, the podcast, the retreat. I got the gut repair solution, book, merch. So I do a lot of content, monetizing online, but now Revel's back now, but I was working with other brands and doing coaching. So I had to figure out some things and I had to really go into my story. And that's when I developed a lot of this choose yourself philosophy. Was right when Revel was gone. I was like, oh, and I just started doing all kind of stuff, trying not to go back home. I'm like, I cannot go back home. I know what's back there. I'm not going back. And I stayed, man. And now Revel's back. So that was the birth of it, man. And it's just liberating the more that I think about it. But I hope it just inspires whoever else is going through any transition. You might go through a bunch of breaking points or maybe just one, but at some point you get done dealing with your own crap.
Keep going.
Oh, I thought we was out of time. Cool. We're going.
No, we're good. Keep going.
We're good. We're good, man.
Yeah.
So then chapter 9, you know, I start to develop a faith. My faith was shook by all this mishap or whatever you want to call it, all the character development experiences, CDEs is what I labeled them when I first wrote my book. So I was like, oh, how could God let a son die? How could I get this long sentence over one punch? How could I get so many injuries? I'm supposed to go to the NFL and all this stuff. And I'm like, so I was lost in my faith. I knew there was something. Obviously, wasn't in complete control because I would do things that are out of my control, but I knew there was something. But just the religion always, to me, seemed like division. And so I started researching the similarities under all religions. And that's what I believe in is your health, contribution, worship of some kind, prayer, fasting is important, but I don't think it's, essential. I think it's essential if you're trying to lose weight, but there's a lot of things that multiple different cultures will do in different ways. So we're not talking about the ways they do it. We're talking about what they do and what it connects to. And so whatever you choose to believe in, understand that your belief comes from within. Yeah, you might call it something over here or read this or go to this church, but you get to choose that. So your God is your choice. But I believe God is within us all because that choice is the God within us. And so that's where the faith came in, where if I do the proper actions, I'll be able to become the version that God had created me to be, which means I'll be able to see the doors open that will only open for that version. And that's when I started to, really get into the systems and foundation. So I am very spiritual, but because I used to blame God and the devil and karma, that's not my focal point because people will put blame elsewhere. I'm a huge believer in God. That's my number one. That's my number one, man. God, then self. Like I'm constantly like, okay, God, what is this teaching me? Okay, what is this? Okay, bad, good. I'm constantly like talking to him subconsciously and connected to him. And I've had some great stories and awakenings and connections with my brother from the past that really helped strengthen my dreams and like in these things. But I believe in yourself to keep you motivated, and then something greater than you to keep you humble. So
I'm Al McFarlane. This is the conversation with Al McFarlane. What a wonderful conversation with my nephew. My nephew is Hakeem McFarlane, author of a book. The book is going to be presented here in Twin Cities in a few days, a book release party event over in North Minneapolis. He'll tell you about that in a second. The book is called Choose Yourself to Be Chosen, and it's the framework for personal alignment. It urges us to step into the authentic calling on your life, step into leadership, and to step into power. And so, Hakeem, this has just been a wonderful conversation. I'm glad to hear you lay out the story, lay out the narrative, how you have experienced and embraced a journey that has been full of challenges, full of things that others would feel defeated and deflated by, but how you have emerged stronger, better, and ultimately emerged, and you continue to emerge in the becoming of who you are, of Hakeem, who you are intended to be, intentionally. That's a wonderful thing. I want to have you let people know again about the upcoming book signing. Why don't you invite our viewers to listen? This is non-commercial radio, so you can't mention prices and things like that, but we can talk about events. So invite our listeners here on KFAI and those who are checking us out on the social media platforms to support you and to join you in the book launch.
Yeah, no, the price is just time and energy. That's all. Just come on down, man. If you want to spend that time and energy with good people, that's where we're at. It's going to be 1121 Jackson Street Northeast. It'll have you'll hear the music. There's a parking lot right there, Suite 145. But we'll have book signings, conversations. I'll be doing a speech. We got music, got a backdrop for photos, purpose, questions. So if you want to grab a cocktail, alcoholic, non-alcoholic, we'll have that available. I have merch available. So really just go over similar to what I did here, but I want to make it more personal and more intimate with the people that are in the space. And so I have a different format for it. And then I'm going to be doing a performance of something I wrote. So the grand finale, y'all, is going to be a performance. So come on in. 6 o'clock to 7 is networking. And then the speech is at 7. So appreciate y'all to come in, choose yourself and grow your mind. And
that's on Sunday, right? Sunday, May 18th.
Oh, yeah, Saturday. Did I not say the day? Saturday,
May 18th.
May 10th.
May 10th. My eyes are. Yeah. Okay. Got it. May 10th. Okay. Cool. Listen, Hakeem, thank you so much, man. Always good to talk to you. And we'll just be helping lift you up and lift the mission up. Take care.
Yeah.
I'm Al McFarlane. We'll see you next time.